Hey guys, Mike here, River Run Jet Boats. We've got a customer's boat here today, just setting that one up for them over on the coast. Yeah, just walking you through it and showing you the do's and don'ts when installing your new boat. Right, let's crack into it. Just another thing to check as well as you're bringing this up. So you can see there, let me put that down, you can see there on this one, that one's in at the moment. If you push it in, turn it 90 degrees to the left, it'll pop out, so you'll see it's now stationed outwards. If you leave that, if you push that in and twist it, it'll stay locked in, meaning when you undo your air pump, it will let air out. So to lock it off, push it in, twist it to the left so you can see it's nice and springy like that, and then we know it's good to go. Okay, let's crack on. Let's get this side inflated. Alrighty, there you can see we've got it all blown up and good to go. So just give you a bit of a rundown. Hey guys, so we're just going to remove these transom motor mounts. Basically just fillet screws, whip those off, and happy days. And the one on the inside as well. Oh, easy as that. Okay, so now we're moving on to the transom. So this is how transoms come. So you can see up the top there, we've got 1, 2, 3 bolts, and the same on the underside, 1, 2, 3, and then we've also got this main lead screw here. So as we adjust this lead screw, it pushes your motor up and down to set the correct ride height. Now, so what we want to do when first mounting it, obviously we want to mount it onto our transom here. So what we need to do is take 1, 2, 3 bolts out. We want to loosen locking nuts on the lead screw, and then basically you want to drive this lead screw all the way out so it's free from this little gold piece like that. And then if we take these all the way out, so this top one I believe has a nut on the back, but this one, if I undo this, it should just drop straight out. And just watch out, there's a little washer on that one, or a collar. So we'll go 1, 2. Now yours might be a bit tighter than this because I've one I prepared earlier, and that one, and then on the underside of that, was this bit that I just dropped out. So this one sits here on those slotted areas, and the one that doesn't have a slot is slotted on the inside, but I'll put that there like that. There's a nut here. Drop all the washers like I'm doing. and then it goes back together, something like that. I'll just set that aside, and then I've already undone those bottom ones, so now this separates. So the side with the curved ends goes towards the motor, and we'll go over that more in a second, attaching the backing plate to that. So at this point we can take this. This is the side that snugs up to the motor. So let me just bring this closer. So what I'm going to do is, you can see here the side with the 3 lines on it on both sides with the little recess there. What we need to do with that, if I put this down for a moment, is we will sit this up here, and we will have the top of that flush with the top of the transom. So I'll clamp it, and then once it's clamped, we'll be drilling 1, 2, 3, 4 holes and bolting that to the transom. Now you do probably want to find a center line. So what I usually do is measure off the top from here to here, take a measurement in the middle. Usually that center screw that was holding the motor mount on is about center. I think I can even see a little line there from manufacturing where they've marked the center out, so that's nice and handy. Perfect. Let me go get some clamps and we'll clamp it and drill it. Righto, that one looks nicely centered, so ready to drill that one. Just make sure it's sitting flush with the top, both sides, and drill away. We're using M10 size bolts, so I'll drill an 11mm hole, just so there's a little bit of play there. And yeah, just try and drill as straight as possible, and yep, we'll bolt that one on and we'll get to that in a second. Right, I'll pop you up here while I'm drilling. Alright, as you may have noticed, there's 2 different sizes. So you've got a 65 and a 75. So obviously where it's doubled up, use your 75. Now I usually go bolts from the inside out, just to keep it nice and tidy inside the boat. So chuck your washer on and go from inside to out, another washer and a nylock. And we're going to do that. So the lower ones will use the 65ers. Two 65ers, couple of washers. Nice, keeps it all nice and tidy. That was not a 65, was it? That was a 75. Yep, thought that was a bit long. The other side's right. Righto, a couple of nylocks. Tighten those down. No real torque setting needed, just get it tight. Give it another 90 degrees. They're nylocks, so they're not going to come undone. I would just check it, you know, for any slop over the next couple of weeks of running it. But yeah, let's tighten those down and we'll get on to the next bit. And this is where you realise you've drilled holes in the wrong place. No, we're good. Alright, so from here we can reattach our outer part of our transom. So what I usually do, get it ballpark and get your lead screw to kind of hold the weight, and then you can kind of tap it up and down into place as you need it. So we pretty much want to set this about midway. So to work that out, I would get our block, put it back on the inside, put one of our bolts through. And then you can snug that up, but basically, I want to come a bit higher than that. So that's our locking screws that are getting in the way at the moment. So we want to be about here, about midpoint is a good starting position. So I think that's a 19 on top, so we can crank that down, we can tighten these up, and yeah, pretty much just snug them up, because we're going to be hanging the motor off it shortly once we get our backing plate on. But yeah, let me go snug those all up and we'll get on to the next bit. Also, I would just suggest not putting your transom braces on first. Alright, so now it's time to put our transom plate on. So we've got this nicely engineered bit of UHMWPE. Shout out to LEP Plastics for turning this around very quickly for us. So basically, as you can see, we've got these nice cutouts through here. So basically they slot in like this. Same deal again. You've got, hang on, let me show you from the inside. The lower bolts are 75 mils and the upper ones just here are the 65s. So same deal again. Let's put those through. So hang on, let me just compare bolt sizes. That's a 65. To be fair, we could probably put those from the outside facing, and it's just going to tidy up the outside a bit more, I think, and have it look a bit nicer on the exterior. So let's do that. Beautiful, there we have it. One transom, adjustable transom, ready to go. So there's it from the outside and from the inside. So 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts holding it on. Sturdy. I like it. Alright, so next thing will be throwing the motor on. So let me just pop it up onto the trailer and we will get the motor on and go over those finer details. So next thing we want to do is attach our transom braces. So they're strengthening braces. I shall go grab one of those and show you how to do that. One moment. So basically with these, what you want to do is you've got this here, one side's on a swivel, the other side's static. I say put the static side on the transom itself. So up here, have your static side sitting there and the swivel side on the hull end, or on the inflatable side. So static side to the transom and the swivel side. Just if this flexes and moves, this is pretty static. I mean, it's solid as it is, but yeah, that's just the way I've found it to work better. Now when putting the bolts, obviously, hang on, let me set this down. So washer, and then we want to pop this top down, just in case when you're taking your boat out, and let's say a washer bolt does fall off, at least the bolt falls off, but you've still got the pin through there, so the whole bolt doesn't drop downwards. So I won't attach them all to this boat because this boat's getting packed back up to go out to a customer. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so here we have the Seatan 40. Basically under the cowling we do have a strop point, so if you're fortunate enough to have a shop crane, then there's basically an eyelet. Here's one I prepared earlier, right there. So we literally hook off that point and lift her up. Hard part's getting that cowling off, so what I usually do, lift it up, get someone to give you a hand, get it onto the shop crane, and then we can dump it onto the transom. Alright, I'll get it up onto the crane and then show you the next steps from there. Righto, so we got her so far. So basically we're just going to hook it over, straight over the hooks, over the transom. Just make sure not to pinch any cables or anything, get them up and out of the way. If you don't have a shop crane, just get two of you to lift it. It can be a bit awkward, but it is doable. And yeah, I'll come back once we've got it in place. Alrighty, she's on. So basically, yeah, just line it up about center. You got a bit of clearance in there because there's clamps on the inside, so just center it up. Now you will want to drill a hole in through this top one. You can see the top motor mount there, and drill it through, and you want to put a bolt through there. Now I haven't pre-drilled those holes because it will differ slightly from boat to boat, so just yeah, make sure that you do that, otherwise this can still slide around. Basically you want it hard bolted onto that transom plate. You can go the lower one, but you'll have to go through some aluminium there as well. Yeah, completely up to you. Now this here, this lever, this locks it, so that will not allow the motor to flick up if you hit a rock. That locks it in place. If it's down, this will move. Sorry, wrong way around. If it's up, you want it up at all times. You do not want that locked down, otherwise it's rigid. So if you do hit a rock, it's not going to flick up and your transom's going to take all the stress. You want it up, and that way the motor will flick up when you hit a rock. Other than that, just a couple of quick maintenance tips. So your grease nipples here, straight under there. You want to use a lithium grease. If unsure, just flick us a quick message and I can confirm what's good and what's not. I'll put it in the description as well, which grease to use. Other than that, you do have another grease nipple here. That's for your steering, turning, and then for your lift mechanism, you've got another couple of grease nipples here. Fuel line, spark plugs, all pretty straightforward stuff. Carby, yeah. Alright, we'll get onto the boot. So basically what we want to do is undo these bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we want to drop this cast boot off because we're going to put our polyurethane boot on. So I'll just quickly undo those and I'll show you the next step in that process. Right, so as you can see, cast boot is now off and we've got the exposed. So this is our wear sleeve. That's our wear sleeve, and there's our impeller. So basically another point that I just wanted to raise was when you're, let me put that back in, when you're, I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of low light at the minute, there we go. As you can see there, the gapping between the impeller housing and the impeller should be about 0.8 millimeters to 1 millimeter. So you just want to get a feeler gauge and just check that. It comes from the factory preset, but over the course of time you'll suck through rocks, you'll suck through sand, and your wear sleeve and impeller will wear. So that's just another thing to double check. Also, this locking tab nut, you want to make sure that that's intact. Let me see if we can, there we go, we can see that. This outer locking tab here. So your impeller key's in here. So let's say you did suck in a big rock and you'd have to damage your intake foot for it to be able to suck in a rock big enough. But let's say that did happen and you've got a rock stuck in here, you've got a small key. Now that key is made of zinc or something similar, like a softer metal, so that if it does wedge a rock in here, it's going to shear that key off. Now I would recommend you take a key and a locking tab with you out on the river in case that does happen, so you can get home safely. Right, I'm going to go get the polyurethane boot and throw that on. So one thing to be mindful of, hang on, let me just see if that's going to sit there quickly, is when you always put your polyurethane boot on first and then your splash guard. What I have seen people do in the past is put their splash guard on and then the boot, but obviously you're causing a bigger gap and you will cause cavitation and all sorts. I've even seen one where they've put the splash guard on, then the wear sleeve, which obviously makes your wear sleeve sit about here, which is not ideal because you're letting in the air and all sorts. So wear sleeve, boot, splash guard into the grooves, but I'll show you that in greater detail. Alright. Righty-ho, so here are our brand new beautiful looking polyurethane boots. So these run a Hardox 450 steel on the underside, so you need to give them hell to bend them, but it can be done. I've done it. So yeah, basically I just put one bolt on at the back. These can be a bit hard to get on, especially if you've got sausage fingers like me. They take a bit of persuasion and patience, but you will get there. So you can happily put the back three on, snug those up, and then, as I was saying, with the splash guard, here's our nice new splash guards. So with these, they go into the slots, there we go, like that, and then they slot up, and then you've got to try and get the bolt in underneath there. Let me get it all done up and show you what it looks like. Alrighty, there she is, nicely bolted on. Alrighty, I'll show you how to attach the battery next. And so basically we take the battery terminal leads here and we will mount them into our battery casing. Yeah, okay, I'll show you how to set that up. Rightio, so these are our battery boxes. Excuse the mess, that is my garage at the moment, but so these are our battery boxes here. So basically what I do, pop them out. Now we want to remove this central lug and this clip, I guess, and then we just want to notch out a wee bit for our cable to slot into. So get yourself some nice side cutters, just cut these out, chop that away, just want to chop this one away. Tidy it up. Okay, so that one's gone, and now literally on this here we just want to you want to go about 12, 15 mil, something like that, and just yeah, notch it out as best you can with the tools you've got. Stanley blade will do it just fine as well. once you got that somewhat notched out, just use a Stanley to cut that last little bit out. But yeah, you just want that flush. And then so when we replace it, when we put it back on, we've just got a nice hole there for our battery cabling to go through. Alright, head back over to the boat and show you how to set this. Oh, first, actually, here's our battery. So this just slots in. If you do get one of the RTX 20 batteries, they're a slightly larger battery size. Oh no, they fit just fine. I know on one I had to notch out part of this, but they fit beautifully. You can put a bit of packing foam in there. They come with the terminal connectors, and then literally we just run our cabling through. Okay, so with the battery, basically we want to, we can route the cable through that notched out piece that we created, and we run them into their respective terminals, and then pretty much close that. Put that back in there for now. Close that, lock it off, and they can just sit to the side there, nice and snug, out of the way. And our electric start button's just up here, this red one. Push that to go. So when starting it, just choke out, give it a couple of pumps of the old fuel line, and then give her a crank over. As she's popped into life, push that choke in slowly, and happy days. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the battery side of things. Okay, for setting our ride height, basically our intake boot, what I usually do is get like a straight edge, and we run this up the tunnel a wee bit, and we have it sitting, just put it flush so that you can see it's running roughly flush. Now as that runs out, we want to see it sitting about there. So you want it just under the toe of the intake boot. That's about good. That's a good starting point. Now from there, it's basically going to be trial and error. Get out on the water. If you're cavitating when you first accelerate and you're popping, you know, you're cruising along, your nose pops up, you pop up onto the plane, and we're cavitating, we're sitting too high. If you're sitting too low, you'll have excess spray, so there'll be spray kicking around like crazy. You might even have some lapping over into the boat. You'll be porpoising, so the nose is doing that as you're cruising or trying to get up onto the plane. That's sitting too low, so you've got too much drag coming through from the boot, and you want to raise it up a wee bit. Those are pretty much, you'll know when you find the sweet spot. A little bit of cavitation on first acceleration is fine. So if you're, you know, if you cruise along, you pop up, and just on that last bit where you might hear it, you know, and then it settles down again. That's fine. Going over chop, over rapids, you will cavitate a wee bit as you draw air through the tunnel section. Also, when you're turning super hard, if you turn hard one way, obviously you're going to tilt, you're going to let air into that tunnel, and you will catch a bit of cavitation. The way to counter that is you can turn hard one way, just counter it with a counter turn before she starts to catch air, and that's the way to give it the old hard turn. Now, so basically, yeah, overview. I'll do an overview shoot of all the bits and pieces in a moment. Alright, cheers. So here she is all set up. Haven't put the seats in yet. This one's getting packed down again for pickup, so I won't put the seats in, but basically they just slide in. You've got these got guides that they slide along in on, and so they're super easy adjustable. You just slide them up and down as you need them. Once you put weight on it, they won't move. Yeah, for the inflation side of things, we go 3 in all the tubes, or all the upper tubes, and go 4 in the floor. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you've got any questions, just sing out, throw a comment in the comment section, and I'll get back to you ASAP. Cheers.